So I'll kick off the questions. Alex, I think when I look at AI developers for electronic monitoring, I think historically one of the main business models of third parties has been through consulting services and not actually sales of software. What do you see in the market that makes you excited and feel like there's an opportunity to sort of change the business model that's been the usual course so far?
That's an excellent question, Mark. And you're absolutely right. So the business model over the past decade around AI has been on a one-off consulting project style business model. What makes me excited is all the presentations we've seen today. Almost every presentation we've seen, the company has said that the future of their business is going to be based around AI. And when we start to think about that, that's like every, let me clarify. So to be able to base your business around artificial intelligence, a lot of folks, they're all going to need the same basic underlying set of infrastructure to run massive amounts of video through these artificial intelligence algorithms. And I compare this to the accounting industry. It's like if every single accounting firm needs to use Excel or something like it. But today what we're seeing in industry is a lot of the providers are hiring their own team of developers to build their own version of Microsoft Excel again and again and again and again. And that's so much duplicated effort and not very efficient, especially when it's the most expensive and hard to retain talent in the world. So this is where we see the opportunity. We're building this underlying infrastructure to be able to empower all of these businesses to build this future vision that they're describing today.
Hi. Thank you guys so much for your presentations. I have a question for Doug. You showed us a lot of what is being reported. Will that include their sales notes? Or can it include sales notes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it can.
And how much would it be in general price per month?
It depends entirely on the fisher's requirements, but typically it's $50 to $60 a month I mean, some fisheries don't operate all year round. You know, the salmon run in Bristol Bay in Alaska runs for 7 or 8 weeks. So I don't think it's fair. We can charge a fee for 12 months. So the fees are constructed accordingly.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your presentations. My name is Greg Cassad. I'm with WildAid. My question's about, talk about this from a compliance perspective. Can you talk a little bit about what those engagement points with your regulators, with your enforcers has been, with those agencies that are required to then use your AI or your equipment, bring it to a court of law and actually have it stand up? Could you talk a little bit about how you or what your process has been and what those discussions have been? Thank you.
How long have you got? I'm sure you may be quite familiar with the fact that in the Gulf of Mexico and southeastern US, a number of charter boat captains who had been reporting electronically and using VMS said that, you know what, this is an infringement of our rights. And so they took it to the Supreme Court and they won. What that meant is the VMS suppliers had to decommission 600 devices and the logbook supplier no longer had 600 customers that were using their electronic logbook. So there has been some quite aggressive work with individual fishermen who feel aggrieved at the use of having to comply. I'm not deeply familiar with other parts of the world, but I know in most other places, you know, what the regulator says goes, and so you have to comply, and there's usually fines or punitive penalties if things don't get complied with. But you know, from our point of view, we don't see ourselves as being a compliance reporting tool. It's just one tiny little piece of what we do. The objective is that fishermen should be adopting a different form, so getting off paper, getting onto a digital logbook, and that logbook should be able to do multiple things for them to help in their business. If it happens to do compliance reporting at the same time, that's fantastic.
And just to add to that, I would say we've noticed it depends drastically on the geography. Australia and New Zealand are actually like great, very proactive. They've been reaching out to us to talk about how to move this forward. Canada, our home, is polar opposite, absolutely terrible, impossible to get in touch with them. And so that's why we're really excited about, like they're providing $1.5 million in funding for this upcoming project, so all of a sudden they have buy-in and it'll be a more serious conversation. But excellent question, and what we've identified is as consistent things to address are, you need to be able to you need to provide transparency in the machine learning process and decision making, which is a whole other kind of field of computer science of how do you communicate confidence in the decision. And we touched on working with synthetic data, like I showed on screen today, where we're actually like using AI to generate additional data, and obviously you can't make decisions based on the generated data, tools like that. Happy to talk longer outside.
Yeah, my question is to ID Foods and Fish Exchange. So you mentioned that there's a control on prices. So how do you adjust for the demand-supply issue? So if there is more supply, how do you control prices? Or if there's less supply?
Okay, thank you. A very, very good question, actually. Yes, this is kind of like interesting, what you call it, chicken and egg situations. Because in Indonesia, especially, since our sources of fish, especially, is like the scattered over Indonesia. This is if we're talking about specific about the fish, then Indonesia geographic is on the east of part of Indonesia is where the fish is. So that's the thing. But the problem is like we don't have any enough support on the logistic to bring the fish into the market itself, being market domestically as well as of course internationally, because point of export from Indonesia is through two harbor, which is Jakarta and Surabaya. So that's why when you're talking about the price, of course, the importance of the important factor of the price is like, you know, start with where you found the fish first at the first time, and you need to add like additional logistic costs. So sometimes it's difficult. So that's why our government has like a minimum base price or standard price for each and every kind of fish when you're talking about the fish. Thank you.
Hi, quick question on accuracies. What's roughly the accuracy that you're getting, and how do you actually verify the accuracy for your assessment?
Great question. Unfortunately, it depends. So the accuracy depends drastically on the tool, but how to verify it is kind of goes back to comparisons to human confirmed identified either like counts or identified species. And so going back to observer data, which we can historically compare to, there's lots of great data sets with partners we're working with there. Yeah, actually I'll keep my answer short.
Hi, I'm Cara from Abelobi. A question to you, Doug. Does Deckhand have a mobile application, or do you find that the specific applications rather, or the specific use case rather lends itself to a more web-based platform?
No, it's a native app. It runs on an iPad. And we've specifically chosen an iPad because over the 12 years it's been developed, we find that fishermen, with all the functions that we want to have, it's far better to have big buttons and a bright screen so that it's easy to use. Ease of use is absolutely paramount for what we do. So we've consciously moved, we've not gone down the web app route, and we likewise have not gone down the Android route. The platform is just, Android is nowhere near as stable as Apple.
Got it. Thank you.
The other thing, just to add to that, is that the product works almost exactly the same way offline as it does online. So the only way that you need to go online is when you submit reports, when you're in range. We've also integrated with VMS units too, for distribution of reports while people are out of range.
Last call on questions. Any other questions? All right, great. Well, thanks everyone for attending the morning session. Let's give a huge round of applause for all our speakers this morning. Thanks very much, everyone. We're gonna break for lunch, and then we'll come back here after lunch for a continuation of this session. So thanks, everybody.